I'm Denise.
And I'm Julia, and today we're going to be sharing with you about Lentor Garden Residences, the 7th plot in the whole Lentor township that's going to hit the market. Is there going to be an oversupply? Is it worth buying into? And what is the sweet spot of this development? Today, let's cover that.
If you do like our content, do like and share and subscribe to our channel. Meanwhile, for today's agenda, we'll be sharing about the Lentor collection and also what kind of buyers are buying into Lentor, because you have each transacted a lot of units in Lentor itself, and whether there's an oversupply in Lentor, and also Lentor collection layout comparison. And stay till the end because we'll be sharing the sweet spot of different unit types to enter within this project.
Okay, so in the Lentor collection, there are a total of 6 plots. The first plot has already been completed, TOP, and residents have all moved in, and that would be Lentor Modern, which sits on top of Lentor MRT station. The next plot to be launched was Hillock Green, followed by Lentor Hill Residences, then Lentoria, Lentor Mansion, Lentor Central Residences, and now the 7th plot, which is Lentor Garden Residences. Each of the developments within the Lentor township itself has a different unique selling point. We have some developments such as Lentor Hills Residences, Lentoria, Lentor Mansion. These 3 developments are within the 1 km range to St. Nicholas Girls' School. And for Lentor Modern, it's an integrated development that sits on top of a mall as well as has direct links to the MRT station. For Hillock Green, it will be the closest development that's near to the mall, as well as it has a very, very excellent view of Hillock Park. For Lentor Central Residences and Lentor Mansion, these will be the 2 developments that are under the harmonized scheme where the aircon ledge is not part of the strata area. And now today, we have Lentor Garden Residences that is under the harmonized scheme, but there's something special about it. We'll share about it later.
Okay, so altogether, we have transacted about 5 to 6 units in the Lentor collection itself. So we wanted to share with you like who's buying Lentor. So we're not new to Lentor. We have had a lot of clients that actually bought into Lentor itself. Okay, so basically, before we go on, we wanted to share with you about the Hillock as well as Lentor Hills and Lentor Modern Buyer Profile. So Lentor Modern has already TOP, and some of the profits has gone up to be like 500k, which is pretty decent for a couple of years holding. Okay, and what we notice, most of them tend to be from the District 19, okay, like your Sengkang, Punggol, and District 20. As you can see, all these people are the ones actually actively buying within the Lentor collection itself. So they're likely to be upgrading from the HDB or EC into this collection. These are the people that actually are looking at Lentor itself. As we mentioned earlier, those buyers who actually bought into this area, they came from District 19, okay, which is Punggol, Sengkang, Hougang, as well as District 20, Ang Mo Kio, Bishan, Thomson, and your District 27, Yishun, Sembawang, and Woodlands. So mainly they're moving in here for a better location. I'll say for D27 and D25, yes, definitely, because it's just a couple of stations down, but it's still closer to the education belt where you have your St. Nick's and all the other top schools within that line itself. So these are the few clients that we've actually closed individually. So most of them, for the ones who actually bought Lentor Hills and Hillock, these clients were 2-bedders and they are planning to buy it as an investment. In fact, because the projects are going to TOP soon, we're actually talking about exit plan. And then for my other Lentor Mansion client, they're actually planning it for own stay.
So for my clients, it will be those who are already staying in the Lentor area looking to buy so that family members can get to stay nearby. And another one was a HDB upgrader that sees the potential in the Lentor area, has children that are going to St. Nicholas Girls' School, therefore bought a unit in Lentoria, which is within the 1 km range to St. Nicholas Girls' School.
It's actually a mix of own stay as well as investment, and these people tend to be either near it, like Ang Mo Kio, Bishan area, and they're familiar with Lentor, or they are coming in as investors because this is like the first place that, you know, they want to make the first flip and then get a bigger unit thereafter.
So before we answer the question of whether there will be an oversupply, let's take a look at the existing supply in the new launch market. For Lentor Modern, it has already achieved TOP and was almost fully sold on launch day. Hillock Green left 3 units. Lentor Hill Residences, 100% sold. Lentor Mansion, 100% sold. Lentor Central, also 100% sold. And for Lentoria, about 21 units left. 21 units out of 2,954 units, that's 0.81% of balanced units left in the markets for sale.
Less than 1%.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, is there a demand in Lentor?
I think this launch will be highly anticipated because a lot of people have been waiting for this to actually come up. And in fact, what I noticed that's really interesting is that there's an upcoming land plot that Guoco Land has actually bidded, which is the plot number 8. So this plot is actually right next to the MRT station. In fact, it's right next to Hillock. It's the one also with pretty unblocked views, okay? And what happens is that they actually bidded 1,200, okay, which is like 300 PSF higher than Lentor Garden Residences itself. So is Lentor Garden Residences going to be quite undervalued? Okay, now when I look at the master plan for Lentor Gardens, right, firstly, what I notice is very telling already. It's going to be one of the last few high-rise plots because the rest of them are going to be low-rise. Like these few plots here, they're all going to be low-rise. So if you're looking for something high-rise in Lentor, this as well as the plot number 8 might be the last few. And then at the rest of the area you actually see near Tagore side, there's a lot of land that has been earmarked, but it hasn't been released by the government. I think the government is now releasing land plots here because they're encouraging a lot of young families who are upgrading to actually come nearer to the Ang Mo Kio area, to like a mature township.
So building on that, you can see that why the government is trying to move young families here. In many of the developments, they will all house an early childhood development center. Likewise, with Lentor Garden Residences, within the development, there will also be childcare facilities which will be put up for rent. Even down to the mall and the tenant mix within the mall, we have Play Facto, Mulberry, Christophery, even arcades. All these are all catered to tuition centers for kids as well as areas for them to hang out and play. So you can see what the government is trying to plan for the Lentor Township is for this area to have many of the young families to set up roots there and to spend at least the first 10 years or at least after they are done with primary school to be in, all well contained within the whole Lentor Township.
Yep. So a lot of malls, sometimes they might be a bit pathetic. They don't have a lot of shops. But I realize the shops here are really good. They have family clinic. They even have massage, optometrist. I think parents need all this kind of, shops.
It's basically a one-stop shop. Lentor Modern, admittedly, is not a very, very big mall, but so far
the important ones are here.
You've got
basically.
it all. You've got it all there.
Yep. Speaking of which, let's actually take a look at the profits. Okay. So in fact, for Lentor Modern, a lot of the ones transacted lately were all the 3 and 4 bedrooms, which shows the demand in this area for own stay families because of the draw for the size of the units as well as near good schools and all that. The highest profit that we've seen so far is a 4-bedder. That made about 500,000. The rest of the 3 and 4 bedders have made between 300 plus to 400 plus, which I think is fairly decent in this market actually.
Which is about an annualized gain of about 5% on average, which is pretty good for a 3-year holding period.
Exactly. Now, when we look at Amo Residence, which is one station away, we also see a similar trend because both of them TOP about the same time. So for Amo Residence itself, okay, the 4 bedders are actually clocking in profits that are close to 700,000 even. And even the bigger units, the 3 bedders are also all crossing 500K. So I feel that these 2 developments just show the demand in this area, and I feel that this kind of results is still going to continue in the next Lentor projects as well.
Back to the question of whether there will be an oversupply in the Lentor Township. So let's take a look. So with Lentor Garden Residences joining the mix in the Lentor Township, it brings the overall total new supply to 3,453 units. And before we answer the question whether there's an oversupply, let's take a look at the unit mix within each of the developments as well as a unit mix as a whole in the whole Lentor Township. Then from there, we'll be able to see which units are actually of an oversupply and which units, if you were to buy into, you still have a very good chance of being able to stand out in the resale market because there's not much of a supply of it. So if you look at the total new supply in the Lentor Township based on bedroom types, surprisingly, for the 1 bedroom, it takes up 6.9% of the total supply. What this tells us also is that for this township, the government really is planning for, and even the developers, they are planning for not so many single owners to be staying in this area. And for the 2 bedroom, it holds about 41.7% of the total number of supply out of this 3,453 units. For the 3 bedroom units, this is also inclusive of the 3-bed plus study, 3-bed dual key, you have 1,134 units, which take up about 32.8% of the total amount of units within Lentor, the Lentor Township.
Yep.
And if you look at the 4 bedroom, it's about 17.2, which is 595 units. And for the 5 bedroom units, you only have 48 units out of this 3,453 units that are available as part of the supply. So when there's the question of, is there an oversupply? If you were to look into the overall amount, you'll realize and you'll be able to see very, very clearly that yes, within the 2 bedrooms, there is quite a high supply of units in the market. So if you're a current owner of a 2-bedroom in the Lentor Township, or you're looking to purchase a unit within the Lentor Township that is a 2-bedroom, there is a specific strategy that you need to adopt. If you're looking to buy for an investment, you want to be able to buy a unit which is rare and also has a good demand, and a unit that you do not face too much competition when you want to exit. And if you just look at this pie chart itself, it will be something in this area where the supply is not high and you have a good chance of exiting. So if you're already holding a unit in the Lentor Township, or if you're looking to buy into the Lentor Township, before you do that, let's take a look at the potential TOP dates for you to plan your strategy.
Okay, so actually, in fact, the clients that bought with me, there's a mix. There's 2, 3, and 4 bidders, okay? In fact, a lot of people talk about the oversupply, but I realize that a lot of the projects are going to TOP this year. In fact, a lot of the supply are within this year itself. For example, Lentor Modern, already TOP. Okay, right now it's under subsale. Units are being leased out. And the Lentor Hills is actually end of this year, Q4 2026. And Hillock Green is actually Q3. So I've actually been meeting out with my clients who bought Hillock Green as well as Lentor Hills to understand their plans a bit better. And because they bought 2 bidders, I also told them because the entire township, 41% are 2 bidders. That's why timing of the exit is very strategic and very important. Okay, next we look at Lentoria, as well as Lentor Mansion. All these will TOP actually next year Q2 as well as probably end of the year for Lentor Mansion or 2028. Lentor Central will be 2029, 2030. And the thing is, all these projects here are under the 3-year seller stamp duty period. Whereas for Lentor Gardens is the only one with a 4-year seller stamp duty.
So let's take a look at the developer market share in the Lentor Township. So as we know that there's a total of 7 projects right now, inclusive of Lentor Gardens and not inclusive of the 8th plot. Out of the 7 plots, 5 of the projects are under the Hong Leong Guaco Land TID ecosystem. One of the project, which is Hillock Green, that will be under the 4C Soil Build and United Engineers Consortium. For Lentor Garden, it will be Kingsford. So what this means is that you can see very, very clearly from here that the Guaco Land Hong Leong TID, they actually command a very big market share in the whole Lentor Township. And that's also to say that actually for these developments, they did put in a bid for it because they wanted to control the entire township. But unfortunately, they were not able to come in as the highest bid.
Yep.
And that's how these 2 consortiums were able to enter. So from this, what we actually see is there's an opportunity today for buyers who are looking to buy into the Lentor Garden Residences because of 2 points. First being, the land bid price for this development was how much again?
920.
980.
It's the lowest actually amongst all 7 plots.
It's the lowest out of all the 7 plots, and it's a different developer. So what this might potentially mean is that because Kingsford got it at a low price, and since they don't have to control the other prices of the other developments as well as the upcoming developments in the Lentor region, there is a chance that the developer will be pricing it very, very competitively so as to make this project a sellout project. And we already have heard down the line whispers of the potential launch PSF of Lentor Gardens, and it is
around 2050 PSF, which is basically prices that you would have had like 3 years ago. Yeah, exactly.
So super exciting, and we're looking forward to be there on launch day to be choosing the unit with you. So if you watch until here and you're interested in getting a unit and you don't want to watch to the end of this video, just scan the QR code, reach out to us, and let's have a chat on how we can narrow down which unit within Lentor Garden Residences is worth buying into and which one is in the sweet spot.
Okay, so now we have laid out all the land prices, right? And then also I've put up the latest land bid from Guaco Land.
So this is the 8th plot of
This
land.
is the 8th plot, okay? This one is the 8th plot, 1278 per square feet PPR, whereas Lentor Gardens is actually 920. So it's actually the lowest amongst all the plots here as well.
So Site 7 will be launched before Site 8, right? And Site 7 was bought at 920 PSF PPR.
Well, considering that Lentor Garden Residences got it at 920 and Lentor Central, which is by Guaco Land, has it at 1,002, you already have a buffer in terms of price because you already have Guaco Land, which is the main stakeholder in this area, to ting the 价钱 for you. For those of you guys who don't know Chinese, basically, they help to hold up the price, which means that whatever prices that you would enter into Lentor Garden, which we'll analyze later, okay, you'll see that actually Lentor Central can help to actually buffer that price for you.
So basically, something which is launched earlier, bought at a lower pricing versus something which is going to be launched later, which has already much higher pricing of $300+ more PSF PPR. So there's very, very good and a healthy buffer for you if you were to enter into Lentor Garden Residences. But of course, that being said, the different unit types within the development itself will be priced differently. So it's very important to have someone to guide you on launch day to ensure that you select the right unit.
Okay, without further ado, we're going to talk about the project info for Lentor Garden Residences. Okay, so total number of units, there's actually 499. In terms of car park lots, total is 402, which is quite usual for condos near the MRT because it's actually walking distance. So they actually give 80% for those near MRT. And I noticed actually there's a lot of bicycle lots because it's also near the park and it's connected. So I think they want people to have that kind of sustainable living as well in this area.
So let's take a look at the unit mix. We've done up a pie chart here so that it's easy for you to at one glance know what is the total overall percentage. So within Lentor Gardens Residences itself, the 2-bedroom units take up more than half of the total unit mix. So this also follows the trend of what we shared just now about how the 2 bedrooms take up quite the lion's share in the Lentor township. For the 3 bedrooms, it takes up about 27.9%. For the 4 bedrooms, there will be 105 units within this 499 units, 21%. And something which is really special within Lentor Gardens, it will be the strata units.
Only
5
three.
bedrooms, only 3.
Okay, I've had a lot of comments about the project actually, which means that a lot of them are facing north. So personally, when I look at the views itself, right, okay, those that are facing so-called northeast, okay, they'll be looking towards like Lentor Central as well as Hillock, okay? So whatever you see here essentially was drone view and all that taken from level 9. But personally, I like the views actually facing a bit of, with a bit of west sun though, because I feel that at least you have some sort of sunset view and it's unblocked. Because what happens is that in front of the project is going to be low-rise blocks, okay? And then after that, the plot ratio is 1.4, which means that people who are getting, let's say, level 7 or 8 and above, you actually have a really nice unblocked view towards the reservoir.
So now let's analyze the layout within Lentor Garden Residences. As you know, there's no 1 bedroom, only starting from 2 bedroom.
So we're doing something special for those who have watched our channel so far, and we know that there are a couple of developments with 2 bedrooms that's coming up. So actually we would like to help you to do the comparison with the units that are upcoming TOPing soon, like Hillock, Lentor Hills and all that. So scan here to actually get an analysis for this project's 2-bedder layouts as well as the other projects that are going to TOP soon. I think that gives you good perspective onto which project 2-bedder would you want to potentially look at.
So now let's take a look at the 3-bedroom layouts within Lentor Garden Residences and which one you should be going for. The smallest bedroom type starts from 872 square feet for a 3-bed 2-bath. Pretty decent layout. This looks very, very similar to the 3-bed 2-bath layout in Amo Residences. And Amo Residences 3-bed 2-bath starts at 958 square feet for a similar layout. Why I say it's a similar layout is because firstly, it's a turn-in, okay, which is the same. And then you have your tucked-in kitchen with a window at the side here, enclosable kitchen here, and then you have your dining, your living, and your balcony, and you have all your 3 bedrooms tucked in on one side. Both your bathrooms will come with windows, which is good for ventilation. And there's one thing that we spotted in the 968 square feet, which is very interesting that you may have missed.
Okay, for the 969 square feet, basically it's like a dumbbell style layout. Once you enter, the kitchen actually is on the right side. So there's a dry kitchen, then there's a wet kitchen. Okay, and I realized on this side, right, there's a study as well. So you can potentially enclose it and make it a much larger master. So this is what I like about dumbbell style layout. Okay, and then as you go in, there's actually 2 bedrooms over here, and then here's your master, and then this other one is actually a common bedroom, and you have a bomb shelter. However, I do notice that they don't have a window, but I really like this layout to be honest. I think it's very efficient. It's great for like a small family. If you, let's say, do have, let's say, maybe a helper or maybe intergenerational living, they can stay here. And then here is actually for you to store items. I think it's pretty efficient. Let's say if you are starting a family, I think this layout is actually perfect. The next layout, the 3-bedroom premium P2 plus S, is pretty much similar to the first P1 that we mentioned. Okay, when you enter, it's a dry kitchen, wet kitchen that doesn't have a window. You also have a bomb shelter, and then it's dumbbell style, dumbbell layout, because one side of the bedroom you have a study, they can enclose up. So I think this is really helpful for those who maybe want to put this as a nursery room or like walk-in wardrobe room, and then your master bedroom is on the other side with a common room and even a bomb shelter. Okay, next will be the 3BR P3. 3BR P3 is more traditional in terms of all the rooms are tucked to one side. Once you enter, okay, you have a dry kitchen, wet kitchen, and then there's actually a door that leads to a bomb shelter. Okay, and what happens is that the bathrooms itself are at one side, and all the rooms are also on one side of the house itself. So it's a bit different from the P2 and P1, which is more dumbbell layout.
And another thing to note is that this layout is a little bit more practical in terms of if you do have a helper, because the household shelter is accessible from the wet kitchen, and this actually follows a little bit more of like the usual condos that we see. Whereas for here, this follows a little bit more of the HDB 4-room flat layout.
Because they're along the walkway in terms of the bomb shelter.
Correct.
Okay, and what I noticed that I find really unique that we mentioned we're going to talk about in this project is that all the rooms with the walls are actually hackable.
Yes.
Yeah, unlike the other projects where it's all PPVC, this one actually you can actually hack down part of the walls and expand to make a much bigger room. For example, in P4 itself, like the traditional style, once you enter, you'll be the dry kitchen and wet kitchen. Then you have a bomb shelter over here. And you see, even the room size, I can actually hack here to make this a much larger master bedroom, for example. Or maybe in between this to make it a much larger living. So I think this gives you flexibility on how you want to configure your unit. I thought that this was quite a good layout. This is one of the layout I actually proposed one of my clients to actually purchase or to actually focus at.
So for the 3-bedroom P5 and P6, this will be suitable for those that have a helper because it comes with a yard toilet, which is very, very functional and is all accessible from the kitchen. So you come in, you realize that for all the layouts within Lentor Garden Residences, with the exception of
the dumbbell layouts, P1
layouts,
and P2.
if you leave your main door open, you still get a lot of privacy within the house because of this curve entering into the house itself.
Like nobody can see into your living room directly. You know, basically there's a nook that you just see a wall, and most people will prefer that way. It's also for feng shui purposes.
So once you leave even if you decide to leave your door open for ventilation purposes, the rest of the house is kept very, very private. And for this layout type, which is 1012 square feet, I'm very, very amazed that they are able to squeeze out the dry kitchen, wet kitchen, yard, and 6-seater dining here, and all your bedrooms tucked in on one side. The unique selling point of Lentor Gardens Residences is that the walls are hackable, so that will make this stand out between this and the other developments which are in the Lentor Township. So for the P6, also has a nook in, it also has a dry kitchen, wet kitchen, and all your bedrooms are all tucked in on one side. So as you know, there's already going to be 7 developments and an 8th one about to be launched in the near future that will also have 3-bedroom units. And it's important to know what are the unique layouts within each of the development and whether your 3-bedroom will be able to stand out in the resale market. Because in the resale market, buyers will not just be viewing Lentor Gardens Residences, they will not just be viewing Lentor Modern, they will be viewing one shot, all the developments within the area. So if you're choosing a 3-bedroom in this area, you need to have a layout that stands out. So if you're interested to find out which layout stands out within the developments based on the size, PSF and price, please scan the QR code, let's have a conversation and we'll guide you through it.
So now we'll move on to the 4-bedroom in the Lentor collection. So in fact, just to share with you, most of the 4-bedroom in this area has actually been fully sold out. The only project that still has unit left will be the Lentoria.
5 units left.
And what I understand is all high ceiling units starting from 3.28 million. So really, I think those who are trying to buy into Lentor Gardens will definitely aim the 4-bedrooms first because the take-up rate of 4-bedrooms in this area is the fastest.
And you already saw our pie chart just now. Having a 4-bedroom in a 3,000 over units township, having a 4-bedroom will help you to stand out because it is so rare. There's only 15.9% of units which are 4-bedrooms.
Okay, now I'll move on to the layout comparison. Okay, so for the first type, which is C1, okay, once you enter, what I like is that the bomb shelter is actually tucked on the left side. So then you have the dry kitchen and then also a longish kitchen that leads you to a WC area at the back, okay? Then this is actually what I call the portrait living, basically quite regular size, similar to like a 4-room flat, okay? So I think this will appeal to those who are upgrading from like the 4 or 5-room flat in terms of price point and all. Okay, so once you enter, basically all the rooms traditionally are tucked on one side, then one facing inwards to the kitchen. And likewise, all the walls can also be hacked. So like I mentioned, you can feel free to actually reconfigure this to make it a larger living room space as well. And then next, if we look at C2, okay, this layout I actually particularly like it. Okay, once you enter, the bomb shelter is actually, you have a bit more privacy because if you open the door, people can't look into your house. Whereas for this, it's a bit more visible. If you leave the door open, people can see like what you're doing, watching TV or having meals inside. Whereas for here, there's a bit more privacy. Now, there's a dry kitchen, wet kitchen, yard, and then a WC. And then as you enter, also same thing, this will be portrait. So I think this will be for buyers who actually prefer some level of privacy, okay? And then all bedrooms on one side. And what I really like is actually the bedrooms in the 4-bedder layout. In fact, if you look at the bedrooms, they are all huge. They all have a walk-in wardrobe space as well. So imagine if you have a growing family, you want to have a space for like baby cot and all, this is actually perfect. You won't actually have to block out anything.
So for those who are looking for a more spacious 4-bedroom, there's the 1346 square feet and the 1356 square feet. You come in, same. It's both private. Even if you keep your main door open, the rest of the house is private. When you come in, there's a dry kitchen and your dining. And this is more of like a landscape view where you have a very spacious living room. Likewise with the other layouts, all the bedrooms are tucked in on the same side. You have a junior master, you have your 3 bedrooms and your master bedroom, which also comes with a walk-in wardrobe. For this P1 layout, it's also, you come in, private, dry kitchen, you have your wet kitchen, yard, household shelter here. Also space for multiple sofas, very spacious living room. All your bedrooms tucked in on the same side. You have your junior master on one side, and this one also comes with a walk-in wardrobe. So in terms of layout for Lentor Garden Residences, For the 1346, it's an excellent layout, and we foresee that for these two unit types, if the developer prices it well, you will be able to get some very, very good buys within Lentor Garden Residences for the 4-bedroom unit.
So now I'm comparing the 4-bedroom layout as well as the last remaining project of Lentoria. Okay, so what happens is that if I'm looking at Lentoria itself, the 1206 square feet, please note this is actually non-harmonized. Okay, and they actually have these are the high ceiling units that are left. Okay, so once you enter, basically they have a junior master at the side, and then also a landscape living and dining space. And for Lentoria, the walls can also be hacked, just to share with you. So Lentor Garden as well as Lentoria are the few projects that you can actually hack the walls
Only
within
these
the
two developments in the whole Lentor township have walls which are hackable.
Okay, then once you enter, okay, you actually have a study space. Then all your bedrooms is actually on one side, so it's a bit more dumbbell. The junior master on left side, and then all the bedrooms on the right side, plus a study. But what I find concerned about for me personally is this long walkway that I see here. I do feel that there's a little bit of inefficiency in this long walkway space, with a lot of people have actually shared. I mean,
You can go bowling.
yeah, we always say that you can actually do bowling. Like in this space, like what am I going to do is really just, clocking more steps, when getting into my house. Whereas, let's say if I look at the C1 layout, okay, I do foresee that the price point, if they launch it attractively, it could range from 2.6 even to 2.8, 2.9 thereabouts. Okay.
So let's say, if the developer does launch it at 3 million, right? Even at 3 million, it's a $280,000 difference between newer 4-bed 3-bar and versus Lentoria, which is at 3.28 million. So you're going in with something which is newer and with a good layout, comes with a household shelter for you to store all your things. For this layout, it doesn't come with a household shelter. Of course, it does come with a study, which is basically a nook in the wall. With a $280,000 price gap, if you'll be able to enter into this development at this price point, is it a sweet spot?
I think it's a sweet spot, honestly. Like if the developer, if you were to get a unit, maybe say 2.8 to 3 million, I think that is really worthy to look at in terms of buying the 4-bedder layout here.
And again, bearing in mind, this 1184 square feet is under the harmonized scheme. For this 1206 is inclusive of the aircon ledge. So roughly, it's about the same size internally, but the kind of premium that you'll be paying and the price gap in terms of the quantum itself could potentially range from 280,000 all the way to about 400,000.
That's right.
So got to be very, very mindful of your entry price, because that allows you a safe exit in the future when you decide that you want to exit.
Okay, now I'm going to compare like Lentor Garden Residences versus Lentor Modern, which has already transacted. And just FYI, this unit made about 500k in terms of profit. Okay, so actually when we look at the Lentor Modern unit, as you enter, I really like the layout because it's really huge. You have a very huge dry kitchen that leads to the wet kitchen itself, 1528 square feet with a landscape living and dining space. Your junior master is on one side.
Very spacious as
super
well.
Super spacious. And then all the other rooms plus a flex room is actually included. But I realized the flex room, the wall cannot be hacked. So at most, maybe I can cover this up. I think this can be a
walk-in
wardrobe that most people will actually do with, or maybe baby's room or whatsoever. Then the rest of the bedrooms are just as it is. I do really like this layout itself.
It's an excellent layout, honestly, for Lentor for Lentor Modern.
Yep. Okay. And then you have like a bomb shelter and then a yard area for you to hang clothes and then the WC. So now let's see what happens if you put this into a harmonized project. So I'm actually comparing the slightly bigger layout, the 1346 square feet. So once you enter, okay, you have a dry kitchen, not as big as Lentor Modern's one, okay, but fairly decent size, okay. Then basically you have a 6-seater over here. And what I like is still also the landscape living and dining space. And then in terms of room-wise, also walk-in wardrobe with a good-sized master. And then 3 very good-sized bedrooms.
So what this layout for Lentor Garden Residences would be suitable for, it would be suitable for families with like 3 children. Because I did bring a buyer to take a look at Lentor Modern as well as Hillock Green for their 4-bedroom layout, where you do have a junior master on one side of the house. For families with 3 children, what one of my buyers shared with me was that it's very difficult to decide who gets...
Yeah, who will get this room, honestly, right?
Are you showing favoritism, or are you being mean by throwing one person on one side of the house?
Or maybe you can put 2 kids inside this room.
Yes,
that is not
could
so
be.
bad,
But there will be a bit of a separation. So for this, you do have, it's a bit more of a traditional layout, more suitable and more sellable in the resale market next time if you're targeting families with more than 2 to 3 children.
Yeah, because there's a junior master, but because you're next to mommy and daddy, then they don't feel like there's any favoritism.
Yes,
basically, you're not in one corner, the naughty corner of the house or whatever.
And that being said, also do bear in mind that the 4-bedroom in Lentor Modern was already sold for 3.4 million. So if you're able to enter into a 4-bedroom in Lentor Garden Residences at a lower price, and because of your holding period of 4 years, this gives your unit the potential and the opportunity to grow over the next couple of years and allow all the other neighbors here within Lentor Modern to then set the benchmark for you in the resale market next time when you decide to exit.
In fact, for this unit, it's only a 7th floor that have made $500,000. And actually on the project launch itself, we have seen some units on the higher floors actually going up to 3.4, 3.5 for Lentor Modern. So imagine what kind of exit point were they exiting? Maybe 3.6 or even 3.8 thereabouts in future. So if you were to enter, let's say for this layout at 3, I still think that this is really, really quite attractive, like 3, 3.1 thereabouts. You still have a huge buffer against Lentor Modern.
Something which is newer and cheaper versus something which is slightly older, but of course more convenient, but more expensive.
Yeah, and it's
which
on top
one will
of a
you
mall.
choose?
Yeah. So which one will you choose? A better layout or convenience? You know, because honestly, you are
And both,
also near
both,
very near.
both layouts are great, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're going based on a quantum play, Lentor Garden Residences is something to look at.
Yeah.
So what Denise has done is to compare between Lentor Modern versus Lentor Gardens. But as you know, there is already 7 plots which are in the new launch market in the Lentor Township. So if you're interested in getting a 4-bedroom and you want to know how the 4-bedroom layout is compared to the other developments within the Lentor Township, please scan the QR code and let's have a conversation to plan and strategize your unit selection for Lentor Garden Residences. Only 3 units of 5-bedroom in Lentor Garden Residences. Is it something to buy or is it something to run away from? So this is going to be like a landed style living in the development. It's going to be 99-year leasehold. This is going to be in an area where it's predominantly freehold landed. Like in the Lentor area, it's going to be freehold landed. In Tagore area, which is nearby, is also freehold landed. So it's very rare, but is it going to be something that can perform well in the resale market? Because this is something which is 99-year leasehold. Yes, it's a strata terrace. It's in an area where it's predominantly freehold landed. Your Lentor area, most of it will be a freehold landed. And your Tagore area, which are
Springleaf
also
as well,
freehold
Tongpo and all
landed,
of that,
you can get an inter-terrace, admittedly an older one for about 4-point-something million in the Tagore area. You can get maybe something about
4.5 for Springside, you know, for example.
in the Lentor area as well, about 4-point-something million. So it's very important to be mindful of what is the existing supply, despite whether is it freehold or leasehold, how much is the quantum that is going at versus what the prices that the developer will set this at. So for this, it's really a big question mark whether the developer is going to be pricing in a premium for this, because there's only going to be 3 units available, and it's going to be really special if you're looking to own something like a landed in this area, because there's only 3.
Yep, and in fact, there are not many developments in Singapore that actually have this kind of strata terrace units within the development. You only have like maybe Affinity, I think Riverfront as well Park Clementes. So these are the few projects that actually have a strata terrace within the project itself. So one thing is that those owners who stay in this strata terrace, you also enjoy the pool facilities as well. Okay, so now that we've come to this point, okay, and we have covered it in our previous videos, and also I just want to revisit this again. Is it still too late to buy into Lentor actually?
So many questions. First it was, is there an oversupply? And now, is it too late? Okay, let's take a look at the land prices in Singapore.
Okay, so just to sum up, we have seen like Tenant Garden Residences. It had a huge take-up rate, almost fully sold on launch day. I think only left like 9 units because of the way the developer priced it. Then the next one is actually Lentor Gardens at 920 already, okay?
So as you can see from this, 920 square feet is what the developer bid for the land at for Lentor Gardens Residences. In comparison with the other launches in the OCR, this is the second lowest. So if you're looking to buy something which is brand new in this area, there is quite a sweet spot that we are seeing for Lentor Gardens Residences. So please scan the QR code to start the conversation with us so that we can plan your unit selection strategy and which units to look out for and which units to avoid on launch day.
And thereafter, if you miss that, it will actually be Lentor Central, the one we mentioned, 1278, or either that your Thomson Reserve within this area. So honestly, even if there's no oversupply, the other land bids are still higher than this project itself.
3453 units. That's the total number of supply in the Lentor Township, excluding the 8th floor of land that's going to hit the market. So understanding your exit strategy is extremely important so that when you decide that you want to sell, you're not stressed out. So having an exit strategy, a very, very clear one, allows you to buy with assurance today. So scan the QR code, reach out to us. Depending on the different unit types you have, there is a different strategy that we will be able to recommend to you, depending on your holding power as well as the unit that the unit type that you're looking to buy.
Yep, so not just the sweet spot, but we also map out your exit strategy, like what I did for my clients who actually bought Lentor Hills as well as Hillock Green with me. We actually map out all this thoroughly for you guys. And if you like our content, do subscribe and like, and we'll see you in the next one. See you guys!